Module 7 will be talking about climate change and disaster management. The climate of the Philippines is tropical and maritime. It is characterized by relatively high temperature, high humidity, and abundant rainfall. The coolest months fall in January, while the warmest month occurs in May. Using temperature and rainfall as bases, the climate of the country can be divided into two major seasons. One, the rainy season from June to November. Two, the dry season from December to May. The dry season may be further subdivided into the cool dry season from December to February and the hot dry season from March to May. The country has four climate types. Type 1 has two pronounced seasons, dry from November to April, wet during the rest of the year. Type 2, no dry season with a very pronounced rainfall from November to April and wet during the rest of the year. Type 3, seasons are not very pronounced, relatively dry from November to April, wet during the rest of the year. And lastly, Type 4, rainfall is more or less evenly distributed through the year. So for Pampanga, it is categorized under Type 1. Let's now discuss climate change. Climate change refers to changes in the mean or the variability of its properties, and that persists for an extended period, typically decades or longer. It refers to any change in climate over time, whether due to natural variability or as a result of human activity. However, climate change is exacerbated by human activities, such as changes in the atmospheric concentration of greenhouse gases and aerosols, land cover and radiation, and their combinations, which result in what is called radiative forcing, positive for warming and negative for cooling effect. As global climate change escalates, the risk of floods, droughts, and severe storms increases, particularly in the Philippines. The country is among the top countries in terms of disaster risk, not just because of the natural hazards, but because of the exposure of vulnerable people and resources. Disasters disrupt the normal functioning of a society and cause widespread human, material, or environmental losses to a point that exceeds the ability of affected communities or areas to cope using its own resources. Now, the key findings of the analysis by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, of the climate trends are the following. One, there has been an increase in annual mean temperature by 0.65 degrees Celsius. In terms of maximum and minimum temperatures, the increases have been 0.36 degrees Celsius and zero point 0.1 degrees Celsius. The analysis of the trends of extreme daily temperatures indicated a significant increase in the number of hot days and a decrease of cool nights. There is still no indication of increase in the frequency in tropical cyclone occurrence or passage within the so-called Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR, but with a very slight increase in the number of tropical cyclones with maximum sustained winds of greater than 150 kph and above or typhoon category being exhibited during El Nino years. The typhoons have great influence on the climate and weather conditions of the Philippines, particularly on rainfall, humidity, and cloudiness. Typhoons generally originate in the region of Marianas and Caroline Islands in the Pacific Ocean, which have the same latitudinal locations as Mindanao. Their movements normally follow a northwesterly direction, sparing Mindanao from being directly hit by majority of the typhoons that cross the country. These are the storylines used in modeling of climate change scenarios by IPCC. So the storyline has four categories. A1, it is described as very rapid economic growth, population peaks mid-century, social, cultural, and economic convergence among regions, market mechanisms dominate. The subdivisions are A1F1, reliance on fossil fuels, A1P, reliance on non-fossil fuels, A1B, a balance across all fuel sources. For A2, it is self-reliance, preservation of local identities, continuously increasing population, economic growth on regional scales. B1, clean and efficient technologies are used, reduction in material use, global solutions to economic, social, and environmental sustainability, improve equity, population peaks mid-century. For B2, local solutions to sustainability, continuously increasing population at a lower rate than in A2, less rapid technological change than in B1 and A1. Now, in the A1B emission scenario, the following are the key projections. Annual mean temperatures are expected to rise by about zero point 0.9 to 1.1 degrees Celsius for 2020 and 1.9 to 2.2 degrees Celsius by 2050. Projection of seasonal temporal rainfall variation is largest during the seasons June, July, August, and March, April, May. The drier season of March to May will become drier, while the wetter season of June to August and September to November will become wetter. Now, the effects of the increase in average temperature will result to the following: more frequent and more intense storms and cyclones, increased intensity of precipitation, changes in rainfall pattern leading to severe water shortage or flooding, increases in the frequency of heat waves, increasing salinity of coastal freshwater aquifers, coastal erosion or soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, shifts in crop growing season affecting food security, drought, increase in vector-borne diseases. Now, for the Philippines, in terms of climate change and natural hazards, Philippines rank 3 out of 173 countries at risk from natural hazards and climate change. Rank 2 out of 89 in terms of exposure to typhoon hazards. Rank 2 out of 153 in terms of earthquake hazards. And 6th out of 89 in terms of potential loss in the GDP due to the typhoon hazards. Now, the management of impacts and risks from climate change and natural hazards should be dealt using this diagram. As we can see in the diagram, climate change and disaster risks impact environmental quality, biodiversity, and natural resource. The environmental quality and natural resource impact the biodiversity. Meanwhile, environmental quality and natural resource has an effect to each other. So it means the approach should be an interrelationship or integrated using these all four factors. Now, the management mechanism related to climate change, we have international commitments or multilateral environmental agreements. These are the following: Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer or the Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol on Substances that Deplete the Ozone Layer or Montreal Protocol, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change or the UNFCCC, and the Protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change or the Kyoto Protocol. Now, for the Philippines, we have RA 9729 or the Climate Change Act. Now, the Climate Change Act mainstream climate change concerns into government policy formulation, establishing the framework strategy and program on climate change consistent with the various MEAs entered by the country. The Climate Change Act aims to systematically integrate the concept of climate change in various phases of policy formulation, development plans, poverty reduction strategies, and other development tools and techniques by all agencies and instrumentalities of the government. Now, for the disaster risk management, a nation sustainable development agenda would not be complete without having a system for disaster risk management. The reality of the countries being exposed to natural hazards should not be taken lightly, as the fruits of all development efforts might be endangered. So we have the RA 10121 or the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010. This policy enacted for strengthening the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management System, providing for the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Framework, and institutionalizing the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan. These are the key provisions of RA 10121. Uphold the people's constitutional rights to life and property by addressing the root causes of vulnerabilities to disasters, strengthening the country's institutional capacity for disaster risk reduction and management, and building the resilience of local communities to disasters, including climate change impacts. Develop, promote, and implement a comprehensive national disaster risk reduction and management plan that aims to strengthen the capacity of the national government and the LGUs together with partner stakeholders to build the disaster resilience of communities and to institutionalize arrangements and measures for reducing disaster risk, including projected climate risk and enhancing disaster preparedness and response capabilities at all levels. Mainstream disaster risk reduction and climate change in development processes, such as policy formulation, socioeconomic development, planning, budgeting, and governance, particularly in the areas of environment, agriculture, water, energy, health, education, poverty reduction, land use and urban planning, and public infrastructure and housing, among others. Institutionalize the policy structures, coordination mechanisms, and programs with continuing budget appropriation on disaster risk reduction from national down to local levels towards building a disaster resilient nation and communities. Recognize the local risk patterns across the country and strengthen the capacity of LGUs for disaster risk reduction and management through decentralized powers, responsibilities, and resources at the regional and local level. Recognize and strengthen the capacities of LGUs and communities in mitigating the preparing for, responding to, and recovering from the impact of disasters. However, there is a need for close coordination between the Climate Change Commission and National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council in the implementation of the National Climate Change Action Plan or NCCAP and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan or NDRRMP to optimize the results since disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation are related. Disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation are related in the following ways. One, both focus on increased climate-related hazards and climate extremes. Example, floods, storms, landslide, and droughts, although the DRR also increasingly addresses gradual climate change impacts such as sea level rise. Both DRR and CCA are increasingly multidisciplinary and reliant on multiple stakeholders across common sectors such as engineering, water, agriculture, health, environment, etc. DRR and CCA overlap in disaster preparedness and prevention mitigation. Climate change considerations need to be mainstream in post-disaster recovery and reconstruction. With the increasing need for more adaptation tools, DRR needs to be incorporated in the design. And lastly, climate-related disaster events are now more likely to be analyzed and debated with reference to climate change. Now, the NCCAP and the NDRRMP provide a framework for the development of local action and risk management plans by the local government units. This is necessary because of the variation of climate as well as hazards across the country. Now, the role of the national agencies is to provide technical assistance, and the implementation of these plans are basically lodged with the local government units and the communities. So this is how the climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction is being managed in the country. Now, for this chapter, we have learned the following. The climate of the Philippines is tropical and maritime. It is characterized by relatively high temperature, high humidity, and abundant rainfall. The Philippines is at risk of floods, droughts, and severe storms due to climate change. There are initiatives to integrate climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction into government plans, programs, policies, and regulations, and are being undertaken. So that concludes our Module 7, Climate Change and Disaster Management.